The Creaking, the latest mob to Minecraft's overworld, along with its biome, the Pale Garden, are an interesting addition to the game. The concept of a creature that moves as you look away, popularised by the Weeping Angels of Doctor Who, is not a new one, but it's compelling nonetheless. Especially in a sandbox game like Minecraft. Yet, this set of upcoming features also adds quite a bit of mystery to the world of Minecraft. There's lots to take in and even more to analyse. Let's look closely at the Pale Garden and its brand new creatures. I've mentioned in the past that I've been working on a larger, more ambitious lore theory, and in it, there's a chapter in which we mention a place that draws many parallels to the Pale Garden, in ways you may not have realised straight away. The Warped Forest. Not exactly the first thing you might think of. The colour palettes are completely different, not to mention being in a completely different dimension. So why this strange fungal biome? Well, let's start with how the team at Mojang Studios has described this biome. One thing that they mention is that no music plays here.
Then there's no music, there's some eerie sounds playing, so yeah, it's really unique atmosphere.
There's only one other biome in the game similar in its absence of music, and usage of ambient noises. Comparing this to their audio design goals for the Warped Forest, you can begin to draw the similarities.
With the Warped Forest biome, however, we decided to specifically have no music at all. Players left with just the ambient sounds. They have to consider the environment around them. They don't have any of the emotion that we try to give them with music anymore. That's to try and communicate the strangeness of the forest and the strange materials around them and the very foreign environments.
Something is wrong in both of these places. Something is different about them to the rest of the world they exist in. The Warped Forest is a strange, bright cyan, not seen anywhere else in the Nether. It stands out immensely. The Pale Garden, on the other hand, stands out due to its desaturation in the otherwise lush and green overworld. Both of these environments have the same type of energy to them, and intentionally so. Another thing to note is that they are variants of already existing biomes. The Warped Forest is a counterpart to the Crimson Forest. This much is obvious when you compare the two. Many have pointed out that the Pale Garden is just another type of dark forest, usually in protest. However, this is intentional. It's, in fact, a sub-biome of the dark forest, with the name of Pale Oak contrasting with the rest of the dark oak surrounding this place. And the implications of them being a variant of the dark forest, with something wrong here, could mean a lot for what this place truly is. Think about the names of these places. The Warped Forest. The word warped describes something that has been manipulated, something that's been distorted and twisted out of shape, and it's truly a strange place. Now, the Pale Garden. The word garden refers to a plot of land that has been cultivated, prepared and grown for a certain purpose. Another kind of manipulation of the environment that, once again, stands out as wrong and unnatural when you think about it. Even the sentient beings and animals of their respective dimensions avoid these places. In the Nether, most piglins rarely venture deep into the Warped Forest in vanilla Minecraft. Hoglins even flee from the smell of warped fungi. They'll actively avoid it, even turning away if they're chasing down prey. Likewise, animals simply do not spawn in the Pale Garden. It is empty and eerily quiet. And like the piglins, the illagers stay away from this part of the dark forest. All of them flee from the Creaking, with even the Ravager left scurrying. Even when they're supposed to be toughened warriors. Bringing one with you into a mansion sends them the other way almost immediately. In the Warped Forest, we have Endermen, which we know have a connection to the biome. Even if you ignore the outright statements of the devs calling the Warped Forest the end of the Nether, or where the Nether meets the end, in this article. The static Endermen emit in dungeons can be heard as ambience within the forest. They are plentiful here, and have made themselves at home. Perhaps this is not the only place they've claimed for themselves in the past. Looking at the eyes of the Endermen and comparing them to the Creaking, you may start to wonder if there's a connection. Especially when you take a look at the Watchlings' arrangement of eyes from Minecraft Dungeons. No other group of mobs besides the Enderlings have eyes consistently like that, let alone glowing in the same way. Colour wouldn't also be an important factor either. Not all of them glow violet. The Snareling, for example, has greenish yellow eyes, and an identically coloured glow sac sack of green goop on its back. Even looking past their eyes, the Creaking have those same lanky limbs as any Enderman, as well as being exceptionally tall too. This place, the Pale Garden, could be the overworld's warped forest, corrupted and warped into something unnatural and deeply unnerving. The plants desaturated and pale, the forest now quiet. The Creaking itself is asymmetrical, twisted and strange. The wood even has a tinge of pink in it, one of the primary colours denoting the end and its influence. Many things corrupted by its magic have such hues, from the beacons corrupted by the Heart of Ender and corrupted crossbows, to cauldrons imbued with life by the same magic, and even the plants in the Minecraft Dungeons DLC Jungle Awakens. Something we're going to dive deeper into for the upcoming Fallen Heroes theory is this notion of corruption from the end. Notably, the Orb of Dominance bears a corruptive ability that we've seen in action, with examples such as those mentioned. And they always seem to have the same colorations of the Heart of Ender's form outside of the end. But going back to the Broken God theory, what other objects do we know are split from Ender? The Eyes of Ender. And looking at the colours of the eyes and comparing them to a warped warp block, or the top of warped Nylium for example, they look very similar. Potentially even implying that it was the Eyes of Ender that were used to corrupt some of the Crimson Forests into something unnatural. An idea that falls in line with something the audio director for Minecraft stated in one of the dev diaries for the Nether update.
The warped forest is a really weird biome. Something in the forest really disrupts reality. I can't really tell you what's going on.
In a similar manner, the Heart of Ender may have been used to corrupt the Pale Garden, cultivating the lands into something else for its own purposes. The Creaking's eyes glow an orange colour. Not purple, but the Orb of Dominance, the Heart of Ender's form outside of the end, does glow from crimson to orange to its iconic pinks. Just as green isn't the only colour of the eyes, purple isn't the only colour of the heart, and this is reflected in their distortions of reality. So why can't this be the case for the heart? After all, the texture files for the corrupted plant life and Jungle Awakens all have red to orange to even yellow in the glowing parts of their textures. From the Whisperer and the Leap Leaf, to the quick growing vine and the poison quill vine. Even the Jungle Abomination has this transition from purple to orange-red in its texture. The Creaking and the Creaking Heart may just be another example of this. The Creaking Heart block, technically the actual threat of the Pale Garden, may even contribute to this idea, other than the obvious potential parallels in naming convention. This block is a living entity. According to the game devs, the Creaking do not exist as their own entity, but rather they are puppets. They are controlled by their own Creaking Hearts. When you encounter the Creaking, you're actually at odds with these blocks. And these Creaking Heart blocks make some very interesting noises. Listening closely, you can actually hear various phantom-like noises mixed into some of the sound effects. For example, the block makes high-pitched trills as you begin to mine it. Vaguely reminiscent of a phantom. Same as when you walk over it. But, most explicitly, do the similarities become apparent when the block is actually broken? The sound it plays is nearly exact to the phantom bite sound effects, though a little distorted perhaps. The Heart of Ender actually has a cosmic connection to the phantoms. When you first fight it in the battle against the Arch-Illager in Minecraft Dungeons, you can hear phantom sound effects mixed into its hurt sounds. If the Heart of Ender, or some other source of corruption, was behind the existence of the Pale Gardens, this would make sense. After all, I'd struggle to think of any other reason a log block, no matter how special, would make phantom noises. It even produces magic, being the reason that the Creaking is shielded from attacks, according to its subtitles. So not only does it exist in a location that seems unnatural, not only does it share sounds with a creature with cosmic connections to a most corruptive being, but it also exudes magical properties. Not unlike the other instances of objects being distorted by end influence, like in the Whisperer's case, or the corrupted beacons. Though in this case, it seems far more intentional and well designed than what we saw emerge from the directionless, non-sentient shard in the Minecraft Jungle Awakens DLC. The Creaking look a bit like watchlings in their visage, with many people saying as such much before their full figure was revealed. Their eyes are like Endermen and they glow as such. They are particularly sight-based, though in the opposite ways. This corruption in the form of this biome and its creatures, the Creaking Heart and its puppet, comes across as much more guided and executed with deliberation, hence the title of Garden. Even if we take the ancient Illagers theory into account, this wouldn't be the first time that beings from the end utilized their own knowledge and power to create new systems for new creatures in new biomes. In that video, we theorized that the Endermen and early Illagers worked together, with these ancestors of the Illagers delving further down into the deepest, darkest depths. The Creaking seems to be like something we've seen before. If we look at pre-existing examples that are similar, we can get a pretty good idea of what they were meant to do and why they are here. Except, they don't seem to be guarding much, unless they add a structure in the future. So maybe we'll see what they might be protecting, if anything anymore. It seems as if it's been a long time since those days. Their creators, now gone, somewhere far beyond. If you enjoyed this short theory video, consider liking and subscribing. It's refreshing to theorize about the new content and work on such a shorter video, whilst we work on this larger one that's upcoming. So let us know what you think about the Creaking and the Pale Garden, and what would you like to see from this new biome? Hope to see you in another video. But until then, have a good day or night.